the historical background of the Victorian age. The reign of Queen Victoria was the longest in the British history from 1837 to 1901. During the reign of Queen Victoria, there were two political parties, the Tories, or Conservatives, and the Whigs, the Liberals. Tory prime ministers were Robert Peel and Benjamin Disraeli. Whig prime ministers were Henry Palmerston and William Gladstone. These two parties were supposed to defend the rights of different social classes. The Tories represented the landowners and the owners of urban factories. The Whigs were for the rights of the middle class, bankers, traders, craftsmen. Their policies were actually very similar. The 1832 Reform Bill was a great act of hypocrisy. It was meant to create democracy in Great Britain, but it left the major part of the population, especially working class people who had moved to the industrial cities, unrepresented indeed. In Manchester, the first protest episodes took place. A pacific meeting with women and children was harshly repressed. Many people were wounded by the army. Others were killed. This is remembered as the Peterloo Massacre. In Manchester, the biggest industrial town, the textile workers or weavers who founded the Chartist Movement secretly met at night. The Chartists asked for annual elections, secret voting, a financing for the members of Parliament. The majority of the urban working class people was without representation in Parliament. All the members of Parliament belonged to the Tory party or the Whig party, but neither defended the rights of the proletarians. Trade unions were organizations of workers. Firstly, they were illegal. Also, going on strike was illegal for workers. Trade unions asked for the right of striking to defend the rights of the workers. In 1900, the Trade Union Congress founded the Labour Party, which for the first time brought some representatives of workers to get a seat in Parliament. During the reign of Queen Victoria, poverty and squalor coexisted with welfare, wealth and respectability. Factory owners became richer and richer. On the other hand, the proletarians were forced to live in city slums, horrible areas around the factories. They lived in overcrowded houses without current water and appropriate hygiene. When we talk about the so-called Victorian Compromise, we refer to the huge contradictions of the 19th century British society. During Queen Victoria's reign, the British Empire reached its maximum. Queen Victoria was called the Empress of India because the English were very proud of their colonies all over the world in the British Commonwealth. The 1851 Great Exhibition took place in the mythical Crystal Palace in London. It was an opportunity to show the products which came from the colonies and the scientific and technological developments. The English did not know much about life in the colonies, especially India, Australia, South America. They learned a lot by reading the novels written at the end of the 19th century by Kipling, Conrad and Forster. During the reign of Queen Victoria, only a minority of the population had the right to vote. After the Industrial Revolution, new towns had risen up and the major part of the population had moved from the countryside to the urban zones. Nevertheless, the electoral districts had not been redefined. That brought up to the corruption of the MPs, elected because they were supported by few rich landowners, and the fact that the urban proletarians were not represented in parliament. The Chartist movement fought for the male universal suffrage, the first organization to defend the right for women to vote were founded in Manchester in the second half of the 19th century. In 1902, the suffragette movement, founded by Millicent Fawcett and Emily Pankhurst, organized the first forms of protest.